A site of record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, if you want to go to Facebook, you can't find it. You got to go through walls and look at their recordings. And where you go to our YouTube site, you can actually search it, find it. It's findable.
Well, welcome. It's Friday.
Because I think he favors Facebook.
I do a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we get more people that sign on.
No, it's true. It gives you live traffic, but the YouTube is like, I want to go back and watch it.
And I just want to be an influencer, so I'm going to go to the YouTube side.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. All right. So we have some good conversation started already. It's August 30th.
Hey, babes.
2019.
Good morning.
Hi, Naomi.
We're here. We have a guest with us today. Our guest is Becky Rapaski. She's a good, longtime friend. And
That's really kind.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
It's gonna be. And listen, she's a very serious. Naomi's already logged in. Naomi's ready to go.
Naomi.
Yeah. And what's the police officer's name? We need to be
Officer Carmack.
Officer Carmack. Okay, so Naomi.
He's fine.
Still. Isn't he? I know. And he's got a dog,
Yeah.
Dogs are good.
I don't know how that's going to work out with the cats, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you talk about the brain-eating worm in your circles yet?
What?
That's why there's crazy cat ladies.
All right, so we're going to get started really early. Matt, would you like to tell everybody about, and then we'll get into Becky here. We'll talk a little bit more about Becky.
No, let's talk about Becky first.
All right, let's talk about Becky. So Becky, why don't you tell us just a little bit about your experience? Because every time we have someone on, we like to ask them how they came to follow Christ and their experience, and then kind of where it's led you and where you're at now today.
It's funny that you bring up the word experience, because in the preparation of talking about Bigfoot and aliens, they use the word experience.
Is that happening?
So I didn't know if I should talk about my alien experience, but now you're talking about my Christian experience.
Yes. Right.
Well, I never.
If you have one.
No, I was born in the church, so I don't know.
You're stuck here.
I remember being like a kid and trying to pretend that daylight savings time happened every Sunday. And my mom would just come up. It's not daylight savings time again. Get out of bed. We're going to church.
Wow.
What was your motivation for pretending?
I didn't hate church. All my friends were there. It was fun.
Like you wouldn't have to go. You could be I slept in.
I know. I missed the hour.
All right.
For no good reason. Right. I didn't have a good reason. But so no, I don't have some people have really profound experiences. I don't have that.
Okay. So you're kind of one of those Tim Hawkins guys that's like you're hearing somebody's great testimony and you're like, oh, I wish I was addicted to crack.
Yeah.
So you had a better testimony. You ever think about that? You wish you had a stronger testimony?
I don't know. I don't know that I wanted to be addicted to crack, but
rob banks or I don't know, something bad. Don't you wish you had a problem in your life?
I mean, I like to do bad things, but I don't know.
But so they bring you down to your knees and you can fail, and then there's the story of Christ.
I fail every day. You know what? There we go. I do bad things every day enough where I need to ask forgiveness repeatedly. So,
yeah, right. Well, I think, to be honest, though, I think this is a great story because I think it's too easy for us to think that the only way for someone to be saved is that, like Matt was saying, you're down on your last nickel. You're at the end of your rope, and all of a sudden God comes and miraculously saves you from this big, huge thing. But you know what? We're all sinners, no matter what. And God, if it weren't for Christ and what he did, none of us would have salvation. And that doesn't matter if you get involved in really bad stuff or if you just kind of were in the church all your life. You still need to recognize that you need a savior.
Really bad stuff's fun, though.
I know. There's I wish we could really pan into side videos, because I would totally pull up this video then. This kid, he was
eventually we will.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting there. We're so close.
This should be your first video then. Speaking of bad things, he's an 8-year-old kid. I think in California they were, and he stole his grandmother's car and drove it. And he crashed into a few things, including a Walmart. So they arrest him, and they said, "Hey, why did you steal your grandma's car?" And he said, "Well, my mom grounded me from video games, and I just like to do hood rat things. I like to do bad things." And
nice.
And yeah, you appreciate his honesty.
You realize,
I could identify with him.
Taking grandma's car isn't bad until you hit a Walmart.
But I don't think he felt bad about any of it. Yeah. He was I like to do bad things. Actually, I like to do hood rat things. And I'm like, me too. Yeah, as a 30-something-year-old, I guess I do too.
It is slightly exciting, yeah. And I would say that my story is very similar to yours, and that I came up in the Catholic Church.
Okay.
And so
I didn't know you were in the.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. We're getting to know each other today.
I was a dirty Catholic. No problem. Yeah. And so listen, like my mom actually was the giver of the good news in my life, and I accepted Christ very young. And so I feel like I've always been here. And so you're kind of like, well, he's been saved. And you actually, I think it's a harder time figuring out that you may not be before you can actually make the commitment that you need to make or do it. It's like preachers' kids. You always think about preachers' kids are people that grow up in the church all the time, how difficult it is. And then,
because you know what's right and wrong.
Right.
You already have that conviction of the Holy Spirit.
Well, you have all the mechanics built into you, but are you living it? Mm-hmm. And that becomes the question. And I think you get that no matter what, but I think when you're stuck into it as a little kid, you feel like, yeah, I've got this. I've always been here.
Right.
And yet you're kind of like, who's the one who really turns out to be the party animal in the real world? It's the one that loves Jesus.
Yes, they go crazy.
They go insane.
We're not. Listen. Well, first of all, we shouldn't have said that to him.
Lost control.
Brian is not going to be that kid at school.
It's all right. It's all right. I just left him yesterday.
Yeah, to share with our viewers, what is
goodness gracious, I'm so insensitive.
You're so insensitive.
I'm so insensitive.
Man.
Sorry, Brian.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, is he on the real world? Is he going on the real world?
In the real world?
It's not even around anymore.
I know, it's not even a show. You're safe. You're fine.
MTV, no one watches anymore, so don't worry.
I know. Well, they can't. Their smart TV is up anyway. So, but anyway, yeah. What they're referring to is that we just April and I dropped Brian off at college, freshman at college yesterday, and so that was kind of an emotional roller coaster yesterday and today, and will be for a while till they get used to the whole transition. And they're pretty much saying that he's,
No, we didn't say that. We just said
they're backtracking.
They're the ones that go crazy if they do.
Yeah. But what I thought was interesting though is a couple weeks ago, I was thinking through all this stuff and I thought, you know what? Here's the thing though, and I told Brian this. I said, this is where you're going out now, and you really have to make this faith thing your own.
Yes.
If it's gonna be anything in your life, it has to be your own. It can't be what Mom and I taught you, although we taught you the things that we believe are true. This has to be your own. And then that way, like I was talking, like Matt, when you just made the comment about living it out. Well, a young person who's grown up in a family that's known the truth and learned the truth, they have to decide whether living it out is really worth it. And once they decide it's worth it, boy, look out, because I think then that can be a force to be reckoned with.
No.
But if they just, we always went to church, or my mom and dad are Christians, so I am. Well, that doesn't work. That doesn't cut it.
No, but it carries you for a while. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things in place that, it carry you for a while, and then you still eventually have to come to some kind of low point in your life where you go, whoa, that was rough.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it makes it that much harder almost, because you're like, well, this has been in my social construct my whole life, and why am I having a hard time now? Because you never had to have one.
Right. Well, I was watching, not to change the subject, and it's not really changing it, but I was watching a debate between William Lane Craig and Lawrence Krauss. And I don't know if you're familiar with Lawrence Krauss, but he's a scientist that's atheist, and he's pretty vocal about it. And he's really kind of arrogant and could be rude. Gets really upset with the Christians.
But you get to be. When you're that point of view, you get to be.
Right. Yeah. But in that debate, he was making the comment about how, these people who are raised in Christian homes really literally have this stuff forced down their throat, and how hard it is for them to make a good decision then when they grow up. Like when they get older, it's hard for them because now they have all these Christian ideas and concepts, and now they can't make a good judgment on the fact that science is reality and not this God thing, right? But I'm sitting there listening to this whole thing, and I'm thinking to myself, but I'll bet you Lawrence would be the first one to advocate that you could tell a 3-year-old that they have enough common sense to identify whether they are biologically male or female. And even though they might be biologically male and female, if they don't feel that way, that's okay. And they could then change their identity, because that would be okay to shove that kind of stuff down a kid's throat.
You think he'd be okay with that?
I think he would be.
I don't know. There's a lot of scientists who still haven't caught on to the completely left weirdo stuff either yet.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole other camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't like those hardcore atheist biology major, sciencey type people who are like, nah, science is. They'll still tell you there's a man and a woman. That there's X and Y chromosomes and da da da.
Yeah.
That's more of a political and social deconstructing thing going on right now.
It might be. Maybe we could have Lawrence on this show sometime.
I don't know. I'm not in the mood really for a crabby guy.
Really?
No.
He's interesting though to listen to. Yeah.
Because the William Lane Craig guy, he's interesting, although he can put you to sleep sometimes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
He just got a lot of big words.
He does have a lot of big words.
You got to get a thesaurus.
My wife says, hi, beautiful Becky.
Oh, hi, friend.
Yeah. And Rachel's watching, and Naomi says, Matt, you better be there when I'm there in 2 weeks.
I better be here.
That's
Yeah,
that's the 13th. That's September 13th. Right.
It should work out unless I have to go to work.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. No. It's to be silly.
Well, it'll be good, Naomi, to have you on here. Mm-hmm. All right, so pretty much, Becky, your story is pretty boring.
It is,
to say the least, from a Christian standpoint. Mm-hmm. But you need salvation, and you recognize that, and so you're living and following Christ, which should not be underplayed at all.
I think that's good synopsis.
Right. I mean, if we were to look in the whole scheme of things, and we were like a big church, and we were going to highlight someone's Christian testimony, yours wouldn't be it.
It wouldn't be it. No.
But
no, you would say like she was the one that her mother called work to say she's going to church camp, and I would be the kid at church camp. All right, it's the last day. Get in the van. It's time to go home. I don't know why I hated church camp. I didn't hate Jesus. It's not it. It's just I don't know. So yeah, I don't.
Right.
My mother really did call.
Really?
She did. I was like, I think I was 15 or 16 at the time.
She pulled you out of school to go to church camp.
Work.
Work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know why? Because things given to you, you take for granted.
This is true.
So this was too easy for you. I think this is driving at the same point, right? Mm-hmm. Like if Jesus and salvation have always been in your life, you almost take it for granted.
But I still think that I could have, and maybe I'm not the only one, I could have rejected all that, right? Because it is fun to do bad things.
Right,
it's easier to do bad things.
Right.
And we're still given that choice at any point to turn your back on God.
What if your life would have taken, just a 15-second turn a different direction? Maybe that would have happened.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I've had my fair share of rock bottom instances, and I'm like, but I couldn't imagine not going through this without God.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if it's just he and I talking, it's just he and I talking, So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it is a nice crutch to have.
But it should be a crutch, right?
I'm just playing right now.
Yeah.
Because that's what the atheist would say. It is a nice crutch.
It is
but
a nice crutch to have.
But you can't, okay, so the atheists say, how can you base science on being a good person or
right.
knowing right from wrong? That has nothing to do with me being a Christian.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right. Well, let's move on then. So Becky, you're raised in a Christian home. Mm-hmm. You're forced to go to church against your will. You're tied up in a basement most of the week, and you have to memorize scripture, all that kind of weird stuff. Then they finally let you out, and you get to college. And when's the first time you realized that Bigfoot is real?
Oh, well, I'm starting off with Bigfoot. Not that I can't disprove that he's not real.
Okay.
But I'm interested.
Okay.
I'm interested.
So I'm not to just jump into the whole Bigfoot thing, but let's think, we're talking about faith here.
Yes.
We're talking about believing in something that some people say does not exist. And most people would say Bigfoot is just, it's not real.
Harry and the Hendersons.
Well, I know, that was such a good movie, wasn't it?
Great.
Well, here's the thing. So I was doing a little research in preparation of today, and I said,
I like people that come prepared. Matt never comes prepared.
No. You're going to see the difference today.
I have no idea.
Now, I went to college and graduate school for history to be.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school in West Virginia. Then I went to grad school.
They have schools in West Virginia?
I know.
No, did you go to WVU?
I went to Bethany College.
Oh, okay.
Which
you
is
went to a Christian
still
college
like in Ohio Valley, basically. But And then I went to grad school. I thought really one day I was going to be either a historian or a history professor. And I'm actually really glad God intervened because that was not for me. But nonetheless, that has stuck with me. So I'm like, when did really Bigfoot really, like, where does this come from? You know? And so I'm curious to know what you guys think of this, because the one theory is, if you think about so the Bigfoot kind of came about, or interest kind of came about in the 1920s. But if you think about it, what was also happening earlier was we have Charles Darwin and his idea of evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now that's not what we believe. We believe that, right, God has created man and woman. But if you're talking about, you know, the theory of evolution here, that's different. And so they would think that maybe Bigfoot is just the next step, or that idea in that time period. You have to go to that time period. Is the next. I'm not saying that's the real explanation.
Right.
I'm just trying to equate it to maybe what people were thinking in that time period, because he was, whether we believe it or not, it was influential. His idea.
It's part of America's baggage.
Yeah, his baggage. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. It's like, well, I don't know. If you go to the Soviet Union, is there some kind of Sasquatch of, you know, their Antarctic, or I don't know. I know.
Well,
that
each area has their own words too. So, which I also found was interesting. Some people called it the forest devil. The forest devil.
Yeah, but then their image changes too, doesn't it? Like what he looks like.
Hasn't his image changed a little? I mean, people.
Well, because there's Sasquatch, Bigfoot,
right. Yeti.
Like the Northwest. Yeah, the Northwest has a name for him. The Southeast has a name for him. I don't think he lives in the desert, so.
But he has been in Florida.
Warm,
Naomi, have you seen that video? And this photo evidence, I wanted to pull it up. Now, that was actually kind of compelling. This one was in Florida, which I thought, is Bigfoot really in Florida?
Mm-hmm.
And people were pulled off on the side of the road and had him on their cell phones. It was really quite interesting. And again, I don't know where I'm at, like maybe just halfway either way. But that was pretty convincing cell phone footage of a Bigfoot in Florida.
Several different cell phone footages.
Yes, you could see the line of people, because they were like, "What is that?" You know, and you're looking at this and you're like, "I don't know."
Wow.
But you would think it was too hot for him down there.
You would think.
It's got to
be
be
a little more. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Did you put the creamer in it that I like?
No, I didn't put any creamer in it.
You can't get any good service.
I didn't know if you were.
Black coffee is fine.
There's so many things that you can't have in your life.
You're just talking about diabetes. You probably shouldn't add anything to it.
Probably sure. You're exactly right.
He's got so many little things in his life that he can't have. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't put no chemicals in there.
Put some dates in there. You like that.
Dates.
Soak some soft dates.
Coffee dates.
Let those babies slide down after they've all soaked. Gotten soft. Because Lord knows I can't chew them anymore. I don't have any teeth left.
All right, so does this fit into the category of like Loch Ness Monster, and then Lake Champlain has Champ, and
well, if you think about it, because I think we'll end up in the direction of UFOs or aliens, whatever. I also found out that they think, now this one I had never heard. They think that Bigfoots are aliens as well, or there's a connection between UFOs and aliens, okay, and Bigfoot. But that's what sells, right? If you remember, there's always like a year of disaster movies, tornadoes, hurricanes, blah, blah. But there's always these creature features, monster movies, because it both freaks people out, but there's an element of, well, could there be?
Right.
Could there be?
It's aliens and demons and nonsensical things from other dimensions. But yeah,
yes,
there could very well be.
Could be transhumanist beings that have been in underground bunkers that the government's been working on. Or
over by 3 Mile Island. What is that, Plum Island or something?
Yeah.
I mean, they could be releasing stuff
you
out of it.
see some of the creatures that come out of there?
Yeah,
don't tell me.
Like it doesn't
don't tell me something. I know.
Yeah, like it's an animal. It's about this big, and its claws are like this. And
there was one that had like the face of I don't even know, but some claws and the body of a dog. I'm like, and it's real photos. I mean, some of this.
So you guys don't think these are photoshopped? These photos?
Well, what's interesting? Okay, so
they look pretty. They look pretty convincing.
Yes. Yeah. So you're right. We're in an age where you can doctor any photo.
Yeah.
But this is the most convincing evidence I have, or it makes my list of top things other than my own experience of seeing. But so there's this, and this was in 1964 in England. It's called the Solway Firth Spaceman. Okay. And so in the 60s, there's no Photoshop. There's no anything. It's just a father and his daughter. They're on their way to a family holiday, and they stop in this field to take pictures. Okay. So he sets his little girl down. She's about 6 years old or whatever. And she's got flowers, and he takes a series of 3 photos. One, it's the little girl in the flowers. Middle is, it looks like a spaceman behind her, and then no spaceman, but it's the same photo. So they take it to Kodak to have it. Are you sure this is real? And to this day, and we're talking from the 1960s, no one has been able to disprove this. And they've even given out, I think it was like a $10,000 reward, which would have been a lot of money back then, or free film for the rest of your life, if you can prove this photo wasn't real. So then the story continues, if that wasn't weird enough. So then the story continues. The next day, these men in black show up at this guy's house. And they say, well, where's the other space, or where's the other, they called him a creature. The guy's like, I only saw one. There's one. He goes, no, there was 2. Well, 30 miles away, they were launching a rocket. And again, these 2 spaceman looking things are at these rocket launch pads. So are they people from the future?
No.
Or, I mean, what is that? I mean, to this day,
were they the gray big eyeball ones?
No, so it truly looks like, because remember, the moon landing has not happened yet, but it looks like someone in a spacesuit. But aliens don't wear spacesuits.
All right, so it's a man in a spacesuit. He's from the future. Now, being that he's from the future, he's going on a historical, literal tourist trip because he wants to see a rocket launch the first time in 1964.
Or are they trying to stop it from self-destruction of the planet?
All right, either way, don't you think that either he has to be like, all right, time out. I'm from the future. I'm going to save you.
Okay. If someone walked through that door now and said, I'm so-and-so from the future, what? Are you just going to be great?
Probably would. Probably would.
I'd be like, how long is that going to take out there? They almost.
Yeah. Do we ever get this stage finished?
Yeah.
Does that ever happen? No, listen. So he's either going to hide because there's that whole Back to the Future thing where you cause these ripples in time by disturbing a little piece of it. And so your little influence that you leave behind ends up making a big change in the future. So don't be seen. They're either going to understand that, or it's going to be so imperative that they stop, like Star Trek, where they come back and the guy who builds the first warp rocket, they make sure, and I never understood this, in real history, the guy makes the first warp rocket to go warp speed just fine with no assistance. But interject, 12 ding-dongs from the future from the Starship Enterprise, they have to save him now. But it's the same kind of thing where the bad guys come back and try and stop them.
Well, what's bad about a father and a daughter taking a nice holiday, taking a picture of her flowers?
Well,
what are they trying to stop in that picture, in that moment?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, for this one moment, why is the spaceman there?
Right.
If he's trying to influence history to stop.
But this little girl went on to nothing. This her father went on to nothing. They were no influencers of history.
And I guess that just proves to me that these are altered extra dimensional forces that are just showing up to cause problems. Demons, yeah. They're not. If they had a point, then they would live out their point. They wouldn't just show up in a picture and then disappear. They're troublemaking.
Yeah. Well, when you go back to the scriptures, though, you see these angelic watchers or beings that show up Old Testament and New Testament.
Joshua.
Yep.
Abraham.
And the one in Joshua actually looked like a small soldier or commander.
It scared them.
So I don't think they have to show up in any certain form. They could show up in any form they want to. But, is it possible that sometimes they just show up and somehow we cross dimensions and find out that they're there? Because the Bible tells us that there's like a war being waged around us. So if we were able to see into the other dimension right now, whatever dimension that might be, and scientists now say there could be up to 10 to, I don't know how many dimensions.
I heard it's 10 to 13 or something.
10 to 13 dimensions. Okay. So, and those are only dimensions we can think of. But So if they're in another dimension, they're here. If somehow you could see into that dimension, whether it's through a photograph or whatever, and they get caught, I mean, maybe they're just there in the area. Maybe they're actually, maybe that.
It was completely an accident.
Well, yeah, maybe that angelic being was there actually watching over that little girl.
Looking like a spaceman.
Maybe there was a tick getting ready to jump on that girl.
Well, here's
and
my thing, though.
He just knocked the tick away.
But here's my thing. So if
I'm
we
just
go
saying.
back
I'm
to
fine with
Genesis, because, well, I know what I've seen in my lifetime. But, and then, of course, if you just take just this instance, or if you take these sensationalized pictures of aliens, okay, but we go back to Genesis, and it clearly states in the scripture, we were made in God's image.
Mm-hmm.
The spaceman does not look like me. These
Right.
aliens do not look like me.
Right.
So to me, that makes it right, this demonic force, because that is not made, that does not look like any of us to be made in God's image.
So do you think God is balding and 330 pounds and diabetic? And I don't know. When it's the image, to me, it's more like just a physicality thing. Like, I don't think he literally looks like us. Is that bad? But
No, actually, if you go back to the Old Testament there, the word image, it could be used as a noun, but actually it could also be translated as a verb. So image bearer. So the idea would be that we were created to be image bearers. So not necessarily that our physical body looks like God, but that we were to live out and bear who God is in his
right.
character.
Right.
However, now Jesus shows up, he shows up as a human. So it only makes sense that if God were going to create any kind of other beings, that they would be similar in form. So, because this seems to work. Like if you go to even the
well, I guess that's what I'm saying. So you could make, I guess is where I was headed with it. You could make the argument that like the aliens, you've never seen an alien that isn't 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, some form of eyes. Like this general physicality works out good.
Because even Pikachu's, they have little arms, right?
Everything's got some 4 appendages,
right?
A mouth, eyes, a nose, and ears. Like, like the physicality of the thing is what it is.
Right.
How it's dressed is a different story, right?
Yeah.
So I guess when we go all the way back to your thing, like in the image of God, well, that could be the image of God. I mean, if you wanted to make that argument, I don't think so, but you know, that's why some things look this. If you go to this predominant vision of aliens, they have a giant head with giant round eyeballs, and they're gray and kind of.
Well, by the way, there's you can't listen. You cannot stereotype aliens.
You want me to overgeneralize aliens?
You can't, because there's over 150 species. So be very careful.
And of aliens?
And that's a government document.
Oh.
They have them labeled and description.
Goodness.
It's very weird. It's very weird.
No,
but then they also go as far as to say, so the tying it back to evolution, they say, well, in the spirit of evolution, then aliens are just us of the future. Our heads elongate out and our eyes get a little bit bigger. So really, they're just us coming back.
On vacation.
Coming back.
Let's go see how dumb we were.
And
then go back in time. Could be.
From an evolutionary standpoint.
I don't think so, but
yeah.
So that's also why, you got to be careful of what you could be a Bigfoot believer, alien believer, but we're Christian believers. But that word is used all the time.
Somebody put little aliens up there.
I would agree. That's
why we need to.
Now, Naomi made a comment. This might be interesting just to go down this track a little bit. But she asked if I remember a lady by the name of Dorothy Wooten. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I think I kind of remember. If I saw her face, I would know her like that. But I'm horrible with names after so long. But she said when she died, before my mom knew that she had passed in the night, she said that she was standing at the foot of her mom's bed and that her mom asked her if she wanted to sit and have some tea. And then mom found out the next morning that she had passed that night. So it's almost as I think what's being said here is that maybe Naomi's saying that her mom kind of sensed or believed that Dorothy had showed up that night in her room. Is that right, Naomi? That Dorothy had showed up in her room after she had passed? You gotta be kidding me.
No.
That's also what aliens do. They turn off feeds
when they know people are talking about
like like nuke warheads. They usually shut them down.
I wonder if YouTube,
it's the government. Probably.
Is YouTube struggling with it?
I think it's just the government interfering, really. Well, maybe not on her end. I could see that she responded to you.
No, that big one's the one I was just.
No,
reading.
she has another one underneath.
Oh, really?
Scroll up.
I'm just not getting it.
Yes.
Okay. And now we're trying to reconnect because the government's trying to shut us down.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which brings me to my
Do you
next
think they
thing.
really care about our little
Yes.
31 subscribers?
Yes. So if they're willing to kill their own people in their cabinets, which they have in the past,
Mm-hmm.
we're nothing. Okay, take this Storm
Will
Area
Smith.
51 thing that's coming up in a couple weeks here. Okay,
Is it still a thing?
it's still a thing. They're now in full-fledged emergency mode, as they have come out and said.
Because it could be a deal.
Well, you know that there are some crazy people. Because let's be honest.
No.
First of all, Vegas is not that far away. So my initial thought was, I'll just make a trip out of it. I might not be doing the Japanese run,
But I want to go see what happens.
but I want to see what happens.
No,
but I can still go shopping later at
Right.
at Caesar's Palace.
After I watch people get murdered.
But that's my point. They have openly said they're planning for mass casualties. So your own government is gonna.
Is that door locked?
There's nobody coming. They're not knocking, are they?
There was a click, 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 click. You want to see if you can fix that?
We're actually still live on Facebook.
Are we really?
Mm-hmm. Even though it says it's trying to reconnect, God's doing something to keep us on.
Oh. Despite what the aliens want?
Yeah, and your wife just signed on too.
Okay, I told her to run over here if she wants to comment.
Oh.
I was too busy trying to get her onto YouTube's.
Oh, she's coming here?
No, she can. If she's watching on there, though, you can watch the YouTube feed on the TV and comment on your Facebook feed on your phone. Because it's easier because the Facebook's right here. We can see people right in.
Mm-hmm.
She was commenting on YouTube, and I wasn't going back to it often enough.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it appears that we're still live. We're still working. Like, I'm still getting the live video here. Just, you can watch. You'll see it in a second. You see, you're telling her right now how to connect.
Yeah. All right.
And here in just a couple seconds, you'll see your hand like you tried to see. There, I scratched my face. It's coming.
I touched my face an unbelievable amount, by the way.
Do you ever see that Seinfeld episode? The higher you go, either the more you're lying or the more uncomfortable you are. So if you start here, you're like, I'm okay. If you get to here, you're like, all right, this is making me uncomfortable. I'm gonna say something I don't really mean. If you're up here, like, ugh, you're full blown out lying. This is done.
That's why I stayed.
So you were like here. You're pretty uncomfortable.
I was uncomfortable.
Yes.
Uncomfortable. Well, this kind of stuff, it doesn't freak me out, but it makes me think about the spiritual realm in a different level. So if you go all the way back to Genesis chapter 6 and Nephilim, and you go, then you're talking about Bigfoot, and then you go to Job and Leviathan and all these sea creatures and all that kind of stuff. And possibly, I think it's in Job where it talks about I'm trying to think of the name. But anyway, the way it words it is that it breathes smoke and fire out of its
dragon.
mouth. Yeah, so you think about dragons and things like that. And I know, scholars say, well, this could be easily,
no, they're dinosaurs.
Yeah, right.
Well, okay, that's what you have to separate these things out, right? So, like Champ, and Loch Ness Monster, and anything in the ocean. It's very conceivable.
Which are where the alien bases are, by the way, in the oceans. Yeah.
Oh no,
yes,
I didn't.
Yes,
like Atlantis.
Yes,
The lost
one
city
of them.
Atlantis.
One of them.
Okay.
Antarctica.
And off LA, which makes a lot of sense.
So let's get like sea creatures, and some of those things are very easily dismissed as there could still be a dinosaur type creature alive in these areas.
Right.
Yeah, iguanas.
Right. So. But they're in the water and they've been there forever and they've been living forever. So they're Bigfoots and your Sasquatches or whatever. I don't know what to do with Bigfoot. I'm gonna be honest. I really do. I not that I don't have any room for him in my life, but I don't know what to do with him.
It's kind of like Jesus.
Yeah.
Not like I don't really have any room for Jesus in my life.
Connection.
But
well, okay. Well, I'm so we should be thankful. And then to the aliens, I think that's out and out coming demon assault on the world.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
because there'll be some people that are like, yes, we have to find these beings because And someone has quoted and saying, because they're the spiritual leaders.
Yes.
Well, no.
There are people.
No. And that's where that
If you
line
even
is.
watch Mars Attacks, I love Mars Attacks.
Right. Yes.
The hippies think that they're coming to save them.
Yes. And they do. Yes. Well,
But meanwhile, they run around with the little machine going, "We are not here to hurt you. We are your friends." And they're going,
Yeah.
vaporizing people as they go.
Right.
I think that's very real. I think that's what's coming.
Yes.
Have you not seen Mars Attacks?
It's pretty funny.
You should watch it.
Interesting. Okay.
But it serves the point.
It does serve the point.
These things are not our
The
friends.
hippies and the New Agers think that they're coming here to save us.
Yes.
And they're really coming here to kill us and destroy us.
Right.
So when the Pope wants to baptize them,
Oh
it's
yeah,
not a
don't
good
get me
thing.
started. That he's a reptilian. I am convinced. Do not convince me otherwise that the Pope is not reptilian, which is a
Funny.
species listed.
We're getting into
Well,
a
like
whole
why?
other one now.
Why? And you can look this up. Why in the Vatican? This is what gets me. Why in the Vatican do they have? It's a special center, and they have things going out into outer space for connections. Why? Why?
Hey, they built
Why?
the Lucifer telescope
Mhm.
over in Phoenix.
Right, like, so either you're looking for something you shouldn't be, or
Mhm.
you're believing in something you shouldn't be.
Right.
And
Well-
since that they are mired in pedophilia and sexual
Right.
perversion,
It's fine.
No,
Because-
what I'm saying
yeah.
is it just proves that there's a problem there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a huge problem. Not to mention they wear hats that are
Look like fish.
Yeah.
The Pisces hat.
Yeah, weird stuff. Going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are pulling them all out.
Yeah, we're
today.
pulling them all out. So Becky, when you came here today, did you have anything that you wanted to talk about or that you wanted to say that was just kind of on your heart that you said, I just want to share this today? Or we kind of talked about something.
We've covered a lot today. I don't know.
We have covered a lot today. Do we need to run an ad? Are we halfway through?
Oh yeah. Well, I think we're more than halfway through. This
We're
is
more
like-
than halfway through, but
This
listen,
went fast.
if you have
This is
if
a
you
great
have if you have a guy in your life or you know of a guy that really needs to get closer to God, you need to.
There you go.
This is so archaic.
I love this.
You need to sign up.
Oh, so remember I saw you got to do like this. You know, those are what those cool YouTube influencers do. Those kids,
What do
you
they
know,
do?
they do like here. Let me see.
Okay.
They do like this, you know. And I just want to be like these kids.
What do they
Oh.
do that for?
Because then
try
it
that.
refocuses the camera and
Let me
everything
try
else gets
that.
blurred out. And
Oh,
Like that?
yeah, like look at that.
I still see my big dumb fat head.
Let me see if I can knock it out. Does it look like I'm kicking you or like I'm elbowing you?
Kind of. Oh.
Nobody.
This is
Why would
everyone I
anybody
do.
want to watch this show? We're like the biggest dorks in the world.
No.
We really
These are
well.
the ones people want to watch.
Yeah, this is because this is real. This is what real people are talking about at the dinner
That's
tables.
true. That's true.
I don't think that they're bringing so many conspiracy theories together at once. But listen, if we do this, if we bring them all together at one
Mhm.
time, we got a chance of cracking it. We might put all the pieces together.
You will not be alive to see that day.
Oh, well, never mind. I don't remember
No.
talking about any of this.
Well,
And
before
I haven't done anything to the Clintons.
I'm just here for the memes. That's what I say.
And before we go, we do want to talk about this flesh-eating virus that's been killing people down south. No, actually, we're not worried about
Did
that.
you hear? Speaking, the bubonic plague is back in LA.
Oh, it started out in Yosemite.
Isn't this crazy? So a plague. This is what they also think are from aliens. This is crazy. This is what drives me insane.
Okay.
The bubonic plague took place in 1347.
Mm-hmm.
We are in 2019. Why
Yeah, but we
is
didn't
the
get rid of it.
bubonic
But
plague?
we didn't get rid of it.
But you don't think the government or something is? Let's drop this bit.
Oh yeah,
back
no.
and, you know
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
think that's absolutely
weird.
happening.
Weird.
Yeah. Or how about a movie comes out about an Ebola type virus and then surprise, Ebola is in
It lands in
Africa.
Cleveland.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it lands in Cleveland and tries to go to Florida. Yeah. No, it's true. So no, I agree with you 100%, but yet it's very reasonable that these things have just been hanging out until now. That, you know, since we are ultra clean and ultra sterile
Mm-hmm.
and
I'm
all
not.
full of shots and all of our medicine and all of our stuff, these things can get a foothold on all of our weakened immune systems.
Yeah, you know what I found out talking with some friends whose young girl was sick in the hospital for a while, and they were trying to figure out what was wrong. That something like C. diff, which is like a bowel type of disease or whatever, that antibacterial
soaps,
gel and stuff like that. Not the soaps, but the like the gel you put
the
on.
things
like
full
from
of
like
alcohol.
Bath and Body Works.
Yeah, like you get a little squirt of it and you put it on there.
Nice.
And
Purell.
That stuff actually helps create a platform for that stuff to grow and spread.
Yeah, because it's perfectly sterile.
What?
So it's best to just wash with soap and water.
Yeah.
That'll get it out, get it off your hands. Whereas if you put that stuff on, it gives it an area to grow, and it can be spread that way.
You're spreading it more. Yeah. I don't doubt it for a second.
So everybody that's hand wiping their carts, everybody
I
that's
told you someone was out there.
Yeah, everybody that's hand wiping their carts when they go into Walmart, it's best don't just lick them.
Just lick your hands.
No, lick the cart.
No, I don't think that's the way.
That strengthens
to go.
the immune system.
I don't think that's good advice. But let's not be terrified of,
all right,
a few germs here or there.
Yeah, but seriously, there are people dying from this flesh-eating virus, but it's not a big. It's
not a big deal.
Is it from the flooding, right?
No, it's just somehow these people are just like supposedly they're near water, but there's a couple that weren't near water.
Usually near water.
Yeah, that's right.
Where was the flooding down south last? Where people were just like fixing roofs, and a couple of them died. Yeah. They just contracted.
Well, yeah. What I find interesting is people die from this virus like every year, and nobody ever hears about it. But now, because there's a few extra cases popping up, we hear about it.
That's how everything is.
But I guess the reason I was pulling that up is that you were going to tell us about the worm that eats your brain.
Oh, right. That's how you started this conversation.
Right.
Look at full circle.
We come full circle.
I got
to bring us back around.
So
no, you're not the hero of the show today.
Did you watch the Joe Rogan?
No.
You have to. I'll condition it with you can watch it up to like an hour 35 because it's just him and Alex Jones.
Uh-huh.
After that, one of Alex Jones's buddy gets on board and it gets really weird. But the first hour and a half they talk about it. But there was a story, and I know this isn't just Alex Jonesism. I saw the stories and I heard it in other places. There is in cat waste. You can contract a worm that eats in your brain, and they did this study to rats. It actually makes the rats go to the cats. You're in love with cats, so you contract it, and it goes in your brain, and you become the crazy cat lady.
I have about 40 cats to go before I get to that point, which
fine.
I'm on track for. But
how many you got, Becky?
2.
Oh, I thought she had 5.
But then I got the squirrels, and I got a hummingbird now. I'm like, no. I'm your modern day Snow White.
It's okay if you're Dr.
But if you were a social justice warrior and I fell asleep and the prince comes and gives me a kiss, well, you cannot do that anymore because that would be assault.
No.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
What if you woke up a beautiful man then? Because you might identify as something else while you're sleeping.
Disney should do a whole new movie.
You got a whole new movie coming.
That would be good.
Which I was at the fair yesterday. Just want to blast this out there too.
Great Geauga County Fair.
Look up the brain
oldest
worm.
fair in Ohio.
Look up the worm thing.
I'm not gonna.
No, you should. No, because you're afraid you have to be a crazy cat lady. But either way, fair yesterday. Where was I going with this?
Did you see a Bigfoot at the fair?
I saw the.
Now that would probably be true there.
I saw the Republican tent.
Yes.
And it was like, and there's people in there, and they're talking, and they're whatever. I go down to the Democratic tent.
Yeah.
There's like 2 old ladies and an old man standing outside, and he's like, "Don't you want gun control laws?" And I'm like, "We're fine. 2020's a lock. We're good."
We are.
Because that tent was dead.
I
mean, people say, "Well, you're in Geauga County," and I'm like, Geauga County's become a lot more liberal than you may realize.
That's true.
But when I saw the story of those 2 tents, I was like,
I had the invite to go work the tent, but I just can't. I cannot bring myself
to
walk.
Do everything.
No. I just can't bring myself to walk through the gates of the Great Geauga County Fair. I don't care if it's for Trump or not. I'm not.
Why?
I can't.
Too many tractors.
It's just too much there.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is lots of fun. Loads
You
of fun.
and I have different ideas of fun.
Yeah, and you always put your life into your own hands getting on any ride at a fair.
It's the truth.
We were talking.
All right. When is the last time there was a problem with the ride?
Last year.
Lord.
Where?
2 people were killed, right?
Where? At Geauga County?
Yes.
Columbus.
Columbus area. This is true.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Last year.
Geauga County's fair is always good. They check all the boats there.
I know. They check all the boats.
We have a boat union.
Guy like,
all
this is
the
a
bolts.
little rusted, but it should hold.
We
for
know.
this
There we go. No, you change that.
time. We
you
want
don't
anybody
put
getting
that
hurt.
in there.
We don't want any youngins getting hurt. All right. Well, let's bring this to a close though, because whether we're talking about alien phenomena or we're talking about Bigfoots or Sasquatches or Yetis or all that kind of stuff, the truth is that there is a spiritual realm that is at war against God's plan for humankind.
The powers and principalities of the air.
That's right. Ephesians chapter 6. And so I would say that this week, if you are a praying person, and when I say that, I mean someone who talks to God through Christ Jesus. And the reason I'm not trying to exclude people, but I really do believe that from the truth of Scripture, that a lot of people say they pray, but praying is something that is, I don't know if I want to say it this way, but it is exclusive. Because Jesus himself said, you can't go to the Father unless you come through the Son. You can't get to the Father. And so when we pray, though, if you're a person who prays through that, I think you need to be at least aware of the fact that as you pray, you are fighting a spiritual war. And one of the best ways to fight that spiritual war is through prayer. But when you're doing that, people's lives are being affected in so many different ways when we pray. And so when you pray for your brother or your sister or your next door neighbor or whatever, you got to remember that God is pulling out forces, angelic forces, and he is fighting against these demonic realms on behalf of those people. And so pray for the people in your life and even enemies, people that, have hurt you or whatever. When you pray for them, remember that God can do more in 6 minutes than you can do in 6 months to impact someone's life in the spiritual realm. And so prayer is important, especially in this battle in the spiritual realm. So don't forget that. Make sure if you do anything, if you increase anything this week, increase your prayer life. Because, we can sit around and talk about the Yetis and the aliens and the Greys and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the power is his to destroy all these things in the spiritual realm. You guys have anything else to add to that?
That's pretty serious.
And I tend to
someone had to be the
adult room.
Comment. Jeez.
Yeah,
take all the
Brian's the adult room.
All right. Well,
no, it's good stuff, Brian.
Yeah.
And you can come in a few weeks and use our new kneelers to do your praying. And they're going to be kind of low. You have to be doubled over in tears.
And apparently there's levels of, where, how serious you are is
if
where you're going to be at the altar.
If you're really battling in prayer, you get to be towards the center.
And we want you on film.
If you're just kind of like, hey, I'm praying, you have to go over towards the walls.
All right. For those two of you that are logged on and don't know anything about this, we are building a platform, or we've built a platform, and we have some places where people can kneel to pray if they come forward at the end. And now we're looking at those, and some people are feeling like maybe they're a little too short, like people might be bent over a little too much when they're praying. And I said that.
Well, obviously, we're going to evolve. Obviously, aliens are only 3 or 4 feet tall. We're going to evolve to be shorter.
We're going to be shorter.
It's going to be fine.
We're building them right in time.
That is true. So, yeah. I just thought it would be more humbling if we were bent over instead of erect.
Right.
All right. Well, Becky, it was good.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah.
This is a good day.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. And anytime.
I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Yeah. And don't forget, Friday the 13th of September, we are going to have Naomi here from Florida. And I don't know how she's getting here. Naomi, you're going to have to be here. You need to contact us.
First of all, we got to pray that I saw her joke earlier that it's going to be fine. The hurricane's fine. And I talked to someone on the phone yesterday. Oh, it's just a hurricane. We're fine. No, we're still praying for you guys. We do want you to be safe. So even though it's probably not a big deal to you, we're thinking about you.
Yeah, because this show will be highly impacted if the road
50% of the audience is gone.
If you can't get here, or you can't log on, we're going to be in trouble. So
which they already are starting to get right. I checked this morning. The hurricane's starting to come in, and she had a better connection than we do, and it's very clear outside. Come on.
Yeah,
that says something. That says a lot.
Right. I think there's people in black suits outside right now messing with our stuff.
It's not a suicide.
Oh, Weinstein. I know what she's saying. I know what she's talking about. You talking about Weinstein?
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it out loud.
Well,
I haven't done
I'm letting you know.
I haven't done anything to the Clintons ever in my life. I don't know anything about them.
Mm-hmm. No.
I got asked if I just cursed on here. Did I curse on here?
No.
All right. No, Dad, I didn't curse on here.
No, he
hear
didn't
it.
curse. I didn't hear it. If he did, we'll we can't edit it out.
We'll send him to the middle of the altar.
But listen, he's
No.
he's already talked about. Listen,
I
Dad,
have to be on the edge.
he's already talked about the fact that he was raised in a home where he really doesn't have any faith because
I had faith.
yeah, wait a minute.
My
time out.
faith was given so easily.
So easily that
Yeah,
he
I've
didn't
had
have
it
to
for
do
so
anything
long. I didn't
for
have
it.
to do anything for it. I took it for granted.
Right. Yeah. So that could be, if he did swear, that could be why he cursed. So
Love you, Dad.
yeah. All right. So we're gonna be out, and we'll see you next week, right?
Yeah.
All
Boom. See us.
right. This is what I hate about this stuff.
Is this why we need our controller?
Yeah, we need a guy.